It's just support, Tom!
Welcome back, everybody. Yet another short break between rounds here as Liam is still hanging out with Tom over here, and we're getting into what is basically a classic Pioneer matchup in round number 3. We're going to wind up having Brandon on the left-hand side playing Selesnya Angels going up against Ray, who is giving us a lot of highlight content on his Izzet Phoenix deck.
Yeah, so, I mean, right off the bat, I think this is definitely one of the matchups you're hoping to see as the Angels player, and one of the reasons to play Angels. You know, you're basically shutting off all of the threats, basically invalidating all the threats that the Izzet Phoenix decks has. I know a lot of the new Phoenix decks are running Cutter, but even that, like, might not be enough. Like, the Angels deck just gains so much life and pumps out so many flyers, and really, you know, demands, like, one-for-one removal, or like, you know, a counterspell for the Collected Company, which the Phoenix deck doesn't really have a ton of access to. The Phoenix deck really wants to be casting a lot of spells on its turn, and, you know, might be able to snipe a key Phoenix with like the Lightning Axe, or like maybe Spell Pierce a Coco, but it's still really tough. And yeah, I already see that dynamic playing out a bit.
Yeah, and we're going to have Giada coming out onto the battlefield. Giada, most importantly, an Angel in addition to being a mana dork for the deck. So that's going to wind up gaining Brandon 4 life off of this Bishop of Wings. We see the Cori-Steel Cutter and the Artist Talent on Ray's side. So Ray has all the pieces of the puzzle, but is it going to be fast enough to do what Brandon's doing? And just playing a land and go says no.
Yeah, so like the Cutter definitely does add an interesting dynamic. Like a lot of times though, you get into a spot with Angels where if you have, you know, there's the Angel that grows, there's multiple Angels that like can grow, and if you have like 4 Angels that can all block the Phoenix, even if the Phoenix player has their like best possible turn and puts all 4 Phoenixes into play, which they can do every turn, if you have 4 Angels in play that can block each of those Phoenixes, you've kind of just like made it so that they can never make progress. The Cori, you know, can still just pump out one thing a turn, so I don't know. The Ray's gonna have to make some like very tricky plays and have answers to these threats of the Angels, and even then, it's gonna have to whittle down the life total, which would definitely take a few turns because, like, yeah, I mean, there's only 4 Phoenixes in the deck, so.
Yeah. All right. So what's happened so far is Resplendent Angel hit the battlefield. Ray passed the turn after just not doing anything or playing land number 4. What Ray does wind up having, though, is a Lightning Axe, pitching a redundant Artist Talent, and then draws or discards and draws a Spell Pierce off of the Artist Talent trigger. That's going to wind up killing the Resplendent Angel. That creates a Spirit off of the Bishop of Wings. And at the end of the day, Ray takes 2, and Brandon has lost his big things on the battlefield, but still has a lot on the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, you have to answer the Resplendent Angel, no doubt about it. That thing connects, and you pretty much lose on the spot. So, I mean, he's doing what he has to do here, but still no Phoenixes in the bin. And maybe doing a bit of coiling. That is.
Oh, it was a treasure cruise that happened.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
our
Okay.
camera had a little bit of a hiccup there. I just changed the
see.
battery, so it was waking itself back up. But we had opt into a treasure cruise here. And there is a Phoenix in the bin. We usually probably pitched off of the treasure cruise being talent, triggering the Artist Talent. A second Phoenix has hit the graveyard now, and this is why I like putting Ray on stream, because these things happen.
These things happen. Yeah, he did just have kind of an incredible sequence with 2 Lightning Axe, probably the most important card in the matchup, and 2 Phoenix from 0 previously, playing them at the right time, triggering your Cutter, and, you know, we're chipping away. We're back down to less than 20.
Yeah, we're down to 1 less than starting life total. But if Brandon has like any sort of follow-up Angel after this, Giada's gonna grow that. It won't gain life from the Bishop of Wings, but ooh, Kayla's reconstruction.
That's really one of the problems now for Ray. Like, he discards this, even if he had the Spell Pierce. There's Brandon is playing around at leaving up 2 mana here, and. Yep. Yeah, we just see, you know, 2 more Angels. And that was a moment where if Brandon was actually out of gas, Ray could maybe capitalize and put together a win. And that's just what he had to hope for.
Yeah, so this combination of the Valkyrie and Bishop Valkyrie sees clerics and angels. Bishop is a cleric that sees angels. So now all of a sudden, Brandon has just in one spell undone all the damage that Ray has done.
Yeah. And also has like a vigilance attacker in the Giada that I assume, I'm not sure if it actually attacked or not, but yeah.
Oh, it looks like it did. Looks like our life pad is unfortunately a little behind, and actually a lot of damage coming in here. Getting Ray all the way down to 4, it looks like, after shocking in.
Brandon hitting the crucial 27 with the Valkyrie to buff, I believe, is it all creatures or just angels?
I believe it's all creatures off of this one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, all creatures. So a lot of damage. The Phoenixes could go into chump blocking mode to like keep Ray alive for a bit longer, potentially, but that's really just a way to stem the bleeding more than anything.
Yeah, Ray is creating another token off of his second Cori-Steel Cutter, and he has a sleight of hand. Looks like has to bin away a treasure cruise. Doesn't have enough to delve that away, but has a pain land up. Don't know how many more spells are getting cast this turn, and if I don't need to be a mathematician to know that this isn't 27 on his side.
Yep, yeah. The one thing about Phoenix is there is sort of a cap on how much damage you could deal in any given turn. Normally, 12 is enough, but against this Angels deck, it's really not.
Is it not when your opponent's life total is 12 higher than it was the turn before?
Yeah. Yes. But, yeah, I mean, really interesting to see, I'm sure after Cori dominated Standard, everyone's mind went towards that in the Phoenix shell. Like, it just makes so much sense. There's even probably an argument to playing more of a traditional like standard style prowess deck in Pioneer without Phoenixes, but why not just have both best of both worlds? Like all the cards work so well together.
All right, so this Giada is getting blocked, the Righteous Valkyrie is getting blocked, and the Spirit token is going to put Ray down to 1 because that is a 3/3 off of the Righteous Valkyrie's Anthem effect. Brandon with 1 card in hand and Ray with only 1 life to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I mean, something you always have to think about is like maybe the Phoenix deck could string together a couple extra turns, and like at that point that's like potentially the only way Brandon loses. So just making sure like you don't put yourself dead to that is not too hard, but just covering your outs is always something to be aware of. It looks like we are gonna get our Phoenixes back, and actually like our board is gonna be pretty impressive now. So after this treasure cruise, and our hand will be replenished. So it's looking like we could potentially claw back into this under the serious condition that Brandon fails to top deck like board impacting spells, which totally could happen. I mean, that's what Ray has to count on, right? At 1 life. Yeah. Oh, there are 3 flyers though, so we would need to find the 3rd Phoenix to not die here.
Yeah,
or a removal spell.
I don't know if that's the 3rd Phoenix underneath the 2 that Ray has pulled aside in his graveyard or not, but additionally, we have to be careful how many monks we swing in with, because being at 1, that Llanowar Elf and that Bishop are also lethal attackers.
That's true.
I mean, those are also 3/3s.
Yeah. Our Pain Land taps are colorlessly, which is like pretty tough for a deck like Phoenix, actually. So...
And we have to cast 1 more spell right now because we had Free the Fae into some stuff. So the Phoenixes are coming back, but we are going to wind up sleight of handing.
Oh no.
Pumping up our board more.
I don't know if I guess if there's the 3rd Phoenix, but I think if we played our land already and only have 2 Phoenixes, then I am seeing lethal. So
yeah, we have a Fiery Impulse.
So if we have a land drop still.
Okay, there are 3 Phoenixes.
There are 3 Phoenix. Okay, so we're hanging in there, and we could definitely get in with some number of these monks. It looks like they're 4/4s, so could maybe figure out a way to set up a 2-turn kill, assuming Brandon whiffs on the draw step.
Yeah, that's the one thing that the Angels deck is a little weak to, is it doesn't really have card advantage outside of its Kokos and Kaylas. You have Enduring Innocence, which Brandon hasn't drawn this game. So Ray basically has to survive this turn, additional turns after that, but this turn specifically to even stand a chance.
Yeah, and one thing about Kayla's is when there was a key moment where I believe Brandon cast a Kayla's playing around Spell Pierce and declined when he could have, I believe it was an X equals 2, and it could have been an X equals 4, and that might be a moment where that might come back to bite him a little bit, as he potentially gases out, because 2 more creatures on this board, you know, the Angels synergize with each other so well that maybe taking the safer line there could have been a little bit problematic. Sometimes you just got to accept that you get blown up by Spell Pierce.
All right, so Resplendent Angel comes on. Brandon actually wound up blocking with the Llanowar Elf against one of those monk tokens. So ate up some of the damage that was coming in, only wound up taking 8, but now this Resplendent Angel hits the battlefield. That's going to be huge, and it's going to start making huge angels.
That is a nice one. How many? Let's see. So only 5 lands though in play means we're pretty far from getting an activation here. It does get some Giada counters.
Yeah, it gets Giada counters, and then we're going to be gaining 7. 3 off of the Valkyrie, and then 4 off of the Bishop, which then brings us back. Oh, we're 1 short.
Brings us back. I mean, we're still just chump blocking with all the Phoenixes. That's the same dynamic. But now we've gained enough life such that the 2-turn that Ray was trying to set up, it's not going to... I mean, it might... I don't know. What's the... So, okay. Each of these monks could potentially... Let's say Ray plays a land and plays the maximum number of spells possible in the turn, which would be, well, actually he's at 1, so
we are,
right?
we have a waste.
Yeah, like that Shivan Reef. There's not like a colorless spell. So all these monks could be like 6/6s. Of course, the new ones will be like 5/5s, I guess. And yeah, that plus the Phoenixes could be kind of close to 28. Let's see. So there's going to be 2 more. I mean, this is assuming, of course, he strings together a bunch of cantrips, which is a lot to ask. But it might not be over just yet.
All right, so the player's just here figuring out how much life Brandon's going to gain off of this Angel entering. Looks like Ray blocked with the Phoenix against all the flyers. Giada had combat damage on it. This Fire Impulse took care of the rest of it. That creates a Spirit, and then this Angel's going to hit the battlefield, and it's not going to be growing larger because of the Giada, but it is still gaining a bunch of life from this Righteous Valkyrie on the battlefield. And we start off Ray's turn the best card possible, Treasure Cruise.
36 is going to be, I think, pretty much impossible this turn.
With 4 blockers, too.
Yeah, and now we're looking at 4 opposing flyers, which means we'd need all 4 Phoenixes from our deck in order to do the chump blocks for the turn. I guess Picklock come down to be 1 chump blocker. But also next turn, Brandon gets to start activating the Resplendent Angel, and then things get really bad.
All right, so we're drawing and discarding, drawing and discarding. The one key card that Ray does not have out that would have potentially been pretty interesting to see here would be Prophytic Memory, because all these draws and discards and the Prowess triggers would have made for some pretty threatening monks. Oh, we ran out of monk tokens.
I do wonder if wow. Somehow we ran out of monk tokens but are losing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how that technically works.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I do wonder if these, like, you don't have infinite room in your deck. I wonder if the Coris came at the expense of Profs. I'm not sure.
Probably.
It's possibly he's playing both, but it's sort of the same slot, I think.
Yeah, because you wind up you have the artist talents. You're not cutting those. I know the deck was running like 1 or 2 props. You had Galvanic Iteration and Temporal Trespass. That's 4 cards right there for the 4 Cori-Steel Cutters. So
yeah, but Core Cutter, the Cutter is like a fantastic innovation because, or just like, I mean, it's not the most subtle, like destroying standard. Of course it's going to go in, but like a lot of these, okay, we got all 4 Phoenix, that's nice. A lot of these Phoenix decks, you know, we're like boarding into things like Young Pyromancer to diversify their threats post board, and now we just get to play like a super Young Pyromancer main board.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh, Ray getting real aggressive here. This is 5 monks that are 4/4s and 2 monks that are 3/3s. So 5 times 4 is 20. This is 26. There's 7 monks altogether. Yep. Even with one more spell here in Ray's hand, this wouldn't be lethal.
No, but at least no reason to attack here because these chumps. There's only 1 non-flyer on the opposite side, and we have a removal spell, or I think we have like couple fiery, or yeah, it looks like a lightning ice in hand to deal with that. So really, you got to keep the Phoenixes back because there's exactly 4 flyers. Like, really eking it out on the thinnest margins right now. So you need to leave all your flying blockers back, but there's not really a reason to leave any of your ground blockers back in this case.
Could Ray,
Unless it was lethal. But.
Could Ray win here? All right, so we have Fire Impulse, Lightning Axe. We have 2 red lands we could cast these with. That would be 14 additional prowess damage. And if we're blocking...
Yeah?
Yeah, if we're blocking a Trampler, that's going to look bad for Brandon.
Yeah, I do wonder... It could be a spot where, yeah, I was wondering... I mean, the only reason you would attack with the Phoenixes here is if that did make it lethal. I'd imagine Ray has thought it through such that if the Phoenixes aren't coming in, I assume it means it's not lethal, right? Because if it was lethal, like it's not like the Angels deck plays at instant speed, really. So you would just alpha and go for it.
Anyway, okay. So
the fact that they're held back indicates that this probably looks like a lot of damage, but
not lethal.
Not quite. Unless it's just lethal by itself if you target them.
Yeah.
That's also possible. Like, these are big numbers. I low confidence on my addition here.
And then
So let's just let our players do the math for us. How about that?
I'm trying to listen here. 29 and then trample damage coming over as well. So Phoenix, if this is 3 life left, a Phoenix would have been lethal.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like, yeah, we blocked everything. But I mean, the fact that we had to block with flyers anyways means that, you know, we're not going to die anyways.
Oh,
Wow.
Brandon did go down to 3.
Wow. So if he claws back out of this, I mean, it's still going to... Wow, actually, maybe with this Coco, can gain a lot of life again.
And Ray has 2 cards in. Oh,
I guess
no!
No.
Ray stole that game.
That's incredible
Brandon.
steal. Yeah, I mean, you gotta represent more than 4 lethal four flying attackers there with the 4 Phoenixes back still, and it's not like Angels have haste. So unless you're gaining like the Angels that can gain a lot of life, but I think not enough life to survive all those monks the next turn. So yeah, wow, what a steal at 1 life.
Yeah, and that's just at the fact that Brandon at that point too, he blocked with the Spirit Token. The Spirit Token is a 3/3 in that scenario, but then Ray had enough burn damage to kill the Righteous Valkyrie, making it a 1/1.
Wow, yeah.
So Brandon thought he was eating most of the trample damage. It was a free block, could keep back everything else, but wow.
Incredible margin. On any given turn, having literally the perfect number of Phoenixes to not die for like many turns in a row. Like a single extra sphere on Brandon's side would have done it. 1 less Phoenix on any of those turns from Ray would have done it for Brandon. Wow, really makes you wonder about that Kayla's for 2.
Yeah, just, I mean, playing around the spell pitch, which Ray did have, to be fair. He pitched it off the artist talent immediately after that. So it was heads up play from Brandon. But like you said, that playing around of spell pierce and just knowing that the threat of that card preventing Brandon from just having one more thing on the battlefield just lights out for him that game. And like I said, this is why I like having Ray on the stream, because things like that happen when this man is playing Phoenix.
Yeah, I was misremembering. For some reason, I thought the Spell Pierce got discarded before the Kalos came down. And to be fair, when that happens, it might indicate that they've
Yeah.
But if it was discarded after, sure, yeah, I guess Ray would have had it either way. Yeah. But the fact that Ray had it in this case with the Kalos X equals 2 anyways indicates maybe that you still even even if it wouldn't have worked out, maybe that is worth playing into. Just being okay with being made a fool of if it's going to increase your win percentage is something that a lot of the top players, like talking with Percy Fang, the winner of the recent RC, some of the wisdom he imparted after his win is like, hey, with this mono red deck, you just like gotta know when to like play your Monstrous Rage into their removal spell and look really silly when they just have it.
Yeah.
If it's the right play.
Speaking of looking really silly, Ray shouting out his wife there. So hello to Ayana, Ray's wife. Hope you are tuning in and watching. Your husband just did very dirty things to his opponent.
Very impressive. Very impressive stuff.
But yeah, I just going back to what you were saying, like talking about how at certain points in time, you just have to know when to go for it. Brandon playing the Angels deck, not necessarily going for it at that point in time, did wind up biting him in the butt. And I mean, it could have been pitching the Spell Pierce players first. It was very similar terms and turns back and forth, and I was doing a lot of Cori-Steel that game, so I could have gotten the turn number matched up. But from Ray's side, it was a good demonstration of knowing when to go for it and swinging in with those lethal. Even the turn beforehand, lining up exactly how many monks he knew he could do and how many would threaten Brandon. Brandon also blocked with a Llanowar Elf that turn because he felt that threat.
Right. Yeah, really knowing what the Angels deck has access to, and crucially what they don't have access to. That's like something that really, you know, separates great players, because you know that this Angels deck, you know what their weaknesses are. You know that they can't really interact. I guess they could ambush with the instant speed Coco, but other than that, they really don't play at instant speed. So you almost don't have to worry about. You basically can just like know how much they're able to attack for, like how many different creatures are able to attack for on any given turn. And you can really just like line up your blockers accordingly, and Ray did an excellent job of that.
All right, so we're in game number 2, and Brandon's going to wind up being on the play here. I accidentally gave Ray one too many life when I was resetting that one. He does not start off with an advantage in this one. But if you are the Angels deck, I know it's been a very long time. We don't have actual sideboards to these players, but are you thinking about like, okay, Ray did nasty things with an artist talent and a Cori-Steel Cutter. Am I bringing in like, I know... what was the card? I just had the Skyclave Apparition. Is that something that's coming in this matchup?
I think probably. I don't know. There's a couple cards that the Angels play. Like something that traditionally gets bordered in against Phoenix is Rest in Peace. But honestly, this Angels deck, or like, isn't as much. I think we didn't give Cori enough credit in this matchup. I think the Angels deck is actually more scared of Cutter than it is of the Phoenixes, because you know, the Phoenixes have sort of a cap on how much damage they can deal, and that the Coris, like, they just went so wide. So yeah, I could really see boarding in cards to respect the Cutter more than the Phoenix. And wow, efficient plays here coming out.
You were saying maybe we should just play Standard Prowess, and Ray was like, oh, I could do that right now.
Yeah. It's a good deck.
Cori-Steel into the Floodmaw after an Into the Floodmaw on the Bishop of Wings, but that is going to see turn 4. Brandon plays land 4. That's a Giada and a Bishop of Wings, or flip that order so that Giada gains 4 life for Brandon, putting him back to 22.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see Ray having brought in a lot of cards, like I assume this Floodmaw was brought in, just like ways to steal wins because you're so disadvantaged. You want to sort of do the more high variance plays. So like I would imagine it might be unintuitive to keep in spell pierces against like a creature deck, but like piercing a Coco or a Giada's at a crucial time could be a way to steal a win. So interesting to see if he leaves stuff like that in.
Right, this was a cheeky attack here. This is a attack for a 3/3 prowess monk, and then that baits out something. Brandon's sniffing something out here, so not going to block, takes the damage, but a torch to the tower is going to deal with the Giada before things get out of hand. And it looks like the game plan from Ray this game has been slow down the Angels deck as much as possible. And actually, there is that Rest in Peace that comes in.
Yeah, still great. You've shut off half the game plan. Now all that's left is the Cori. And if you find like the Skyclave that you were mentioning, then you've shut off both halves.
Yeah, and then you're looking pretty solid at that point. There's also no artist talent on the board this game, so Ray's velocity of cards is not what it was in game number 1.
Right. Yeah, and we can see also on the flip side, going back to that Bishop of Wings, like not blocking there, sort of the flip side of Ray wanting to do high variance things in a bad matchup. Brandon really doesn't need to take any risks. Because just doesn't want to open up any windows for Ray to steal the game. So yeah, really just like wanting to play conservatively, just knowing if I execute my plan A, it should be enough to get the job done.
All right, and also this Rest in Peace, shutting off, I believe there's a Treasure Cruise in Ray's hand, so keeping that one in this matchup and not respecting the graveyard hate, I guess, and saying like, well, maybe I just don't have enough sideboard cards as well. Looks like, yeah, that Treasure Cruise is, it's going to be a full costed Treasure Cruise at this point.
Yeah, definitely an effective card.
Okay, well, we have a handful of Treasure Cruises here, which are just going to be lightning axe fodder here. Brandon again going for no blocks, and this is going to be a swing in for 4, 8 plus 3 is 11, having Brandon's life total.
Wow, yeah, the Cutter doing such good work 2 games in a row, but yeah, here we have...
Spell Pierce on the Kalas! He respected it game 1 and got game 2!
Wow, Brandon just or Ray just having it in the perfect spots. Yeah, I was wondering if you'd keep it in because of blow up plays like this, and that is exactly what happened. Now opening the door to like probably win on the next turn. Assuming, well, actually he doesn't have that many cards in hand, but could potentially set up something here. Looks like the monks, yeah, they may just be big enough.
I think this is
blowout.
exactly 11 right now. So there's still a Bishop of Wings, so you have to get through that as a blocker, but
Right.
I think Ray just turns everything sideways.
This time around, Bishop definitely blocking.
I hope so.
Yep.
One more removal spell, though, could be enough.
I mean, I assume we would have seen that before. Wait, am I missing something?
I think we blocked one of the monks there,
Oh,
and
sure,
since
sure,
it's
yeah.
only a 3/3, it just bounces off the 1/4.
Right. Just done verbally there, and we have the second one. Oh my gosh. Okay, that explains why Brandon was a little bit more comfortable, just going full steam ahead there.
Oh, but do we find? Does Brandon? Brandon just finds a
what a
Resplendent
whiff.
Angel and a Llanowar Elf.
Way. Oh wow, what an unfortunate sequence of events there. You have the rested piece, so all that's left is to deal with this cutter. But then the cutter just pops off.
Yeah. So Brandon taking a look at his hand, taking a look at what he's putting on the bottom. So at this point, all right, so Kayla's is going to find one angel that gains us 4 life.
yes.
It's not enough to make an angel end of turn, but we are going to have at least a couple of blockers. And Ray did only have 1 card in hand. Or
It's
sorry,
true.
2 cards in hand.
Yeah, I mean, Ray does still need to string together a couple spells here, which is not a given. It's possible that sort of committed a lot on the last turn. But, I mean, what's so strong about a deck full of cantrips? It's, oh, no.
Land Odawara Treasure Cruise.
I believe so. That is not going to do it.
Oh, he just passed the turn.
Yeah, no, I mean, these monks are just 1/1s. You really need... Yeah, I mean, this might actually just be slipping away. That was really the crucial turn where you just needed to do one more turn of stringing together spells. Like, any single cantrip would have probably done it there, but...
All right, so we're casting Righteous Valkyrie. This hits the battlefield. That'll gain us 4 life back up to 11. Yeah. So, all right, Brandon going to go back up to 11 here.
Wow, things really slipping away.
Yeah, and I'm wondering here if... So we had Treasure Cruise Odawara. Was there an angle for us to swing? We only had a bunch of small creatures, though. So, yeah, there wasn't going to be quite enough to push through, even with an Odawara block. Or Odawara on a chump blocker.
Yeah, that last turn we really needed it to get the monks big enough so that even if it wouldn't have been lethal, yeah, we really needed to force a chump there, crucially. And we weren't able to do so. Yeah, the second Kayla's, you know, just that redundancy.
Kayla's reconstruction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really just shows how strong the Phoenix game plan A is.
This is also looking pretty bad here. Sorry to interrupt there for a second, but this is going to be a second Resplendent Angel.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's going to have to hit the Righteous Valkyrie so we don't gain infinite amounts of life, basically.
Right.
But it is going to be a second 4 life. So these Resplendent Angels now are both going to make 4/4 angels, which then gain 8 life. And yeah, I think Medicine in chat is saying it's Jover.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good summary of the situation. But hey, we still get a game 3, and
yeah, so Ray's just gonna pack it up. There's no way he could deal with that. Not enough monk tokens.
yeah, I mean, if Ray could make a play like he did this game, next game on the play, like that would have been the difference. He was really just 1 turn, or like 1 key spell behind. So, wow. I mean, it'd be cool to see a game 3.
Yeah, so that Rest in Peace wound up being way more impactful than Brandon may have thought. He kind of just threw it on the battlefield. Was like, I'm just going to play this out because it's my hate piece. I sideboarded it in. And then Ray's hand was 2 Treasure Cruises.
Yes, it lined up very nicely. I mean, I don't think you can really take out, Treasure Cruise is your best card. Like, arguably better than Phoenix or Cutter. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah, I think, all right, so here's an interesting question for you then, Liam.
Yeah.
We saw game number 1. Phoenix was the only reason Ray survived. However, it is not the greatest card in this matchup.
Not the greatest card in the matchup.
So do you think they were boarded out?
I think it's possible. I'm definitely no Phoenix expert, but seeing how this matchup plays out, I think that is, you could make a case for that for sure. It is just, you know, an efficient card, and it's relatively low opportunity cost when you're getting it in your graveyard incidentally or like discarding it basically. So there's definitely a case to be made for like, hey, like, I may as well keep them. I'll find a way to rummage them away, and then I just have Phoenixes in my graveyard. But maybe you could also say like, hey, if these aren't going to really make the difference in the matchup, you know, I could be caught with a Phoenix in hand at an awkward time, and then that could like enable them to run away with things. So I could see either argument. It's possible there's a heuristic that I'm not aware of for this type of matchup. Cutter also does change things. Like before, you really had no game without the Cutter. Like the Pyromancers in your sideboard, like were just like not high power level enough to deal with like a Phoenix deck, like not even, or the Angels deck.
Yeah, they're so small.
Yeah, but Cutter is, yeah, exactly. Like Cutter really putting that card to shame, honestly. Doing the exact thing that it was trying to do, as it provide a angle of attack that's not susceptible to graveyard hate.
Yeah.
Is basically the role those cards were playing. And now you just have like one of the best cards in the format for you.
Yeah, it's really interesting though too to kind of think about the fact that this Cutter card, it creates a prowess monk token, but it can only do it once a turn.
Right.
Whereas
It's true.
Young
It's true.
Pyromancer, you can do it as many times as you want.
It's true.
But it's not good enough.
Yeah. That's probably the justification for why Cutter is as pushed as it is.
Is why it was printed in the first place?
It is capped at once a turn. However,
I mean, we've learned things like Nadu do not mean once per turn is a good thing. So this matchup getting started off a little lightning quick, though. We had a sleight of hand and an opt for Ray. Just a tapped Temple Garden over here for Brandon. It looks like this is going to be a Giada turn. No, rest in peace right off the get-go. Says you got the Spell Pierce? No, you don't.
Nope. Yeah, another reason to keep it Spell Pierce. That's a good point.
All right, turns your triangle, or turns your square into a triangle because one of those angles of attack has been taken away.
True, yeah. I mean, if you consider Treasure Cruise an angle of attack, takes away
Okay,
too.
okay, so now you're just a flat line.
Yeah,
Your line
exactly.
is Cori-Steel Cutter or bust.
Yes. Or like weird
Portable
art
Hole, a
things.
good sideboard card here.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah. Honestly, a little surprised it wasn't held for a Cutter. Now that because we have Rest in Peace, this artist talent is like much less scary than a potential Cutter would be.
Ooh, but what about second artist talent? Are you afraid of that?
Ooh, sort of depends on like what it actually does, because I couldn't tell you the last one for the life of me, but I believe it does convert something into damage at some point. Oh no, another hate piece. Wow. I mean, yeah, Brandon's probably gonna be feeling pretty comfortable behind these three permanents in play.
Yeah, this Archon of Emeria is also going to be pretty powerful hate piece against the Phoenix. It's basically High Noon stapled to a creature. Also, it's going to make all these Phoenix lands enter tapped. Okay, but Prophetic Memory and Artist Talent together may be a menacing threat.
That's sort of an assemble your own Cutter in a way. I mean, in that
So many extra steps.
yeah, it's like a prowess creature if you have another creature in play. Like we might be in a bit of
I'm discarding Fire Impulse.
yeah. Interesting that Props is still in the deck. Probably just like a one or two of but yeah, definitely another game plan. I mean, in a sense, it's not susceptible to graveyard hate, but like the way Props really pops off is in conjunction with Treasure Cruise. So the Props is in that sense turned off with graveyard hate. The Artist Talent though, pretty nice combo there.
Yeah, and what we wind up seeing there is Ray ditching a Fiery Impulse in order to cast a Lightning Axe on the Archon of Emeria. Then we ditched another Fiery Impulse to the Artist Talent trigger. So this Artist Talent, every time we're casting a non-creature spell, we discard a card. If we do, we draw a card. We're seeing Cori-Steel Cutter getting pitched so that we can cast a Picklock Prankster, which is going to start carrying our Prophetic Memory counters. But Brandon is going to wind up cocoing into, only one Giada, which is a flying blocker for now.
Oh, yeah, not the best Coco. I mean, that's what Ray needed. But we have a follow-up. Follow-up Coco.
All right, so we have the original Coco, which is the green Coco here.
Right.
And then we have Kayla's Coco,
Yeah.
which, well, that does hit.
Truly-
That finds a
truly-
lot.
Yeah, cuckoo for Coco Puffs here.
Ooh, an Inspiring Overseer, so we're going to draw a card. We're going to gain a bunch of life because of this Bishop of Wings. It's going to enter with a counter thanks to this Giada. And a second Archon of Emeria to stifle Ray's plan of trying to put a lot of counters on this Picklock
Yeah.
Prankster.
I was daring to hope that this 1 mana up was representing a Spell Pierce, but can't always have it.
I think Ray
Turned
was
out.
hoping that too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Kayla's for 0 to play around Pierce? No,
Uh-huh.
it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
No, but now Brandon has a 3-2 flying Overseer, a 2-3 flying Archon, a 2-2 flying Giada, and Ray does wind up having a 2-5 Picklock Prankster, but I don't know how much card velocity Ray has left in his hand.
Yeah. I mean, discarding the Cutter might indicate that there's a second.
Yeah, there's got to be a good reason when you start pitching your Cori-Steel Cutters. It's either you don't have the card velocity to keep going, or you have redundant copy. Okay, so Ray has Sleight of Hand, Lightning Axe, and double Lightning Axe. All right, but he's only gonna get one spell per turn.
Yeah, I mean that Lightning Axe is gonna have to go with the Archon first. If oh, it looks like we pitched the Lightning Axe to Artist Talent.
Yeah, we pitched it to Artist Talent, and then we wound up taking a Treasure Cruise. I think it was Treasure Cruise Land. So to be fair, Treasure Cruise is a spell.
Yeah.
That puts one counter on our Picklock Prankster during combat, so now that's a Vigilance flying blocker as well, so acting its best Wall of Swords or Wall of Air impression here.
Yep. Yeah, so I gotta imagine... Oh no.
So many cannons.
Yeah. I mean, we have to Lightning Axe the Archon because otherwise we just can't do anything. We have to Lightning Axe the Archon and just like hope to rip a string of spells that both deals with Brandon's board and progresses our game plan, preferably with a Cori in play.
All right,
That's
so
the game plan.
Ray drew a land, and Brandon actually didn't hit a ton of things, but the two castable ones, or two Kalazable ones, are Righteous Valkyrie, Youthful Valkyrie, Valkyrie Angel Tribal. Yeah, Brandon's gaining a lot of life here.
Yes, this is going to be extremely tough for Ray, especially with really setting this game apart. Yeah.
Ray is just like, you don't even have to do the math. I have one card, it's a land in hand, and my Picklock Prankster is not nearly as large as anything on your board. So Brandon, in the matchup that we thought the Angels deck was fairly favored in, shows us exactly why that's the case.
Yeah.